Our next speaker is here to take the concepts that Nick introduced over to the agricultural field. As the managing partner of the 6,000-acre diversified CY Farms, which grows field crops and turf, as well as the managing partner of the associated 4,000-head CY Heifer Farm, Craig Yunker has seen how this change in perspective can lead to a more bountiful harvest. Please welcome Craig as he speaks on a systems approach to production agriculture.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you for inviting me and setting up this series of talks today. When I saw the itinerary, it occurred to me that it would be a whole lot better if I listened to everybody today and then wrote and put my message together. That's already been borne out. Thanks, Nick. It was a great presentation. I already learned a lot and look forward to the rest of the program. So my role is to provide a perspective from the farm, I think. And please remember that every farm is different. You know, we tend to describe farms in terms of acres or products produced, but every farm is, there's a lot of variance. Today's data set is very small, and so the conclusions for inaccuracies are pretty large. I would encourage us, instead of thinking of a farm in terms of acres or what we produce, think about the system and how it works together. And I just checked out Wikipedia that said a system defined as a set of interacting or interdependent component parts forming a complex, intricate whole. When we think about production agriculture, I think when we think about the systems, it would be at several different levels. So we can think about agricultural production systems on a regional level. And the region would be defined many times by the product produced. So, and the range would range all the way from like one of my neighbors that grows fruits and vegetables, and he sells them at the farm stand. And that interaction, that system, is on his farm and in the local community. And contrast that with a large producer of one crop. Maybe we could take soybeans in Brazil or Iowa or wherever, where all the inputs are basically bought from outside the region. And there's one crop harvested and grown with machines, produced, manufactured in some distant plant. And when the soybeans are harvested, they're shipped to a processing plant outside the region. The impact on the local community of those two different systems is very different. At a community level, where the farm operation hires local labor and buys a lot of inputs locally and then sells its product to either a plant or into markets locally. That's a different type of system, and I think one that we are going to talk about today and investigate. What I want to talk a little bit today is about the farm level system. And I'll sort of describe our farm and think about how it evolved. It's fun to talk to my dad. My dad's 92 years old. Grew up on a small farm in Wyoming County in western New York. And it was a pretty integrated system. They grew some crops. They farmed with horses. The fuel the horses used were grown on the farm, and they had some maple syrup. They had eggs. They had chickens and cows. He walked to a one-room schoolhouse that was built by the neighbors, and the logs were sawed from the farm. The lumber was sawed from the farm. He carried eggs to his one-room schoolhouse teacher. Okay, that was a very integrated farm, much like our early settlers. So what we're talking about and this systems approach is not new. And what we do on our farm is not new, it's not unique, and it's not innovative. But I think we have gone from these integrated systems that the early settlers had, and we've gone to large operations, and with some unintended consequences on how the food system works. So when I grew up, we had a small dairy farm, and I went off to school, and when I came back, it hadn't evolved very much over those 7 or 8 years I was gone. And we started expanding the business, and we were basically a dairy farm, a one-product farm. We milked 300 cows, and it was about in the late 80s that we began to modify our operation. And I would like to characterize it as a way of thinking about systems and synergies. And it wasn't so deliberate. It was a way to maximize efficiency, maximize profits, maximize productivity. We'd see when we had a one system, one crop system, one production, we had actually times in the year when we were not so busy, and we said, well, maybe we should fill that up. So today, today our business, actually, we're engaged with 7 different types of operations, and we operate them all as an integrated unit. You heard about CY Farms. It's a 6,000-acre diversified farm. We grow corn, wheat, and soybeans. But we rotate those corn, wheat, and soybeans with vegetables, green beans, peas, cabbage, onions, spinach. And some of those crops are for the processing industry. They go to a local freezer plant. And some of those crops, like cabbage and onions, go into the fresh market. Some of those crops, the corn and forages that we grow, actually go into our feedlot. So we have a 4,000 head feedlot that grows dairy replacements for the dairy industry, and it utilizes corn and feed from the CY farms. And it provides a market for forages, which are a great rotation for our vegetable crops. We also have a turf farm, a sod farm, and that sort of evolved as a way to diversify. And what grew out of our sod farm was a sports park. We now have a Batavia sports park that has 12 full-size soccer fields. It's integrated with the community. The community utilizes it. We consider it a public-private partnership, and it's part of the complex system in our community. We have some strategic relationships with a couple of businesses that we recruited to the area. So we recruited a veal grower from Canada, Ontario, Canada, to raise veal on our farm. We formed a joint venture, and there were synergies between our dairy replacement facility and the veal operation. We could pick up, our dairy replacements were just females, and the veal operation is just males. So most dairy farms were actually dropping both kinds of calves. So our trucks would go and pick them up and split the calves between the veal operation and a dairy operation. We also recruited a French green roof company, Vegetal ID, grows sedum in trays to produce green roofs, and we provide services, land, facilities, and irrigation to the Vegetal. So when I look at the synergies between these 7 different operations is what consumes our day-to-day operations. And we integrate with communities, with a local community and with a regional community. And what we've tried to do was to look at our business as a system and how can we find ways to take byproducts from one of our businesses and use them in another business. So we provide nutrient management services to the heifer operation and to the veal operation, and those in turn are used for crop nutrients, but we also have a compost operation that is providing compost that our sales staff at our turf operation sell. We've described this as a system, a diverse system. But I would say that diversity in and of itself is not the goal. You know, you can have diversity, but without critical mass in any one of those businesses, it just becomes a management headache. So the diversity is good if you have enough critical mass so that each one of those components in itself has enough productivity and efficiency. I think what we're seeking is a balance of resource allocation that can maximize the synergies between the businesses, take advantage of inputs and outputs of those different pieces, and that can yield more as a whole than the sum of the parts. So again, Again, thank you for allowing me to participate. I know that I'm going to enjoy the rest of the program. And again, Nick, nice job, and I learned a lot, and I look forward to the other speakers. Thank you.